Hey everybody, welcome back to another SUPboarder video. This week we're going to be looking at a bit of a how-to / review video from Ion. We're going to be looking at what products you can put on your SUP to keep it in good condition. Mainly looking at the rail tape from Ion and also the rail nose saver, which you can put on around the front of your board. And we're going to be looking at how to put them on and actually get the best out of the products. Now, rail tape really isn't a new thing. It's been going on for several years, and Ion have been making their rail lover tape for quite a few years as well. It all started back in the day with many SUP racers really putting stuff on like helicopter tape onto their rails to stop the boards getting damaged. But this sort of material that Ion are using now in their rail lover tape has moved on quite a long way from the traditional clear tape. Way more scratch resistant, really hard wearing, and it's also got a very shiny sheen to it which really doesn't catch, so you cannot nick the tape itself, and it will last years and years and years. So as you can see, this one I've already done on this rail here, and it's all nicely put on, and we're going to put the other side on now, opening it from the box, giving you a few tips and tricks on what we found the easiest way to apply this. So opening it up out of the box, the first thing you want to do is get rid of this hellish roll, because that is virtually impossible to stick on. Put the box in recycling. The best way to get rid of a twisted roll is to roll it in reverse of the way it came. So unroll it and roll it round the other way. Definitely worth taking a bit of time doing this because it will speed up the process and make it so much quicker and easier to put on. When you've got it rolled the other way around, wind it right up so it's super tight around your fingers. If you can get your fingers out, just let it form like that for a minute, and then it will soon have a nice straight rail saver to put on your board. While you've got that rolled the other way around, you can put an elastic band around it, leave it on its side. You should be making sure your board is obviously super clean. You can use an alcohol rub or something like that, but just soapy water generally over the rails, but really make sure it's bone dry before you go and stick this tape on. Unlike some other sort of tapes where you put them on wet, this one is best, we found, if you put it on bone dry. Right, so I've got my rail tape now, much easier to handle, nice and straight. Most important things, as we said, make sure your board is clean and dry. And then if you've already put one side on, you want to mark the other side where you want the rail tape to start. This Nash board is really easy because there's markings all the way up the board, and I know it starts just in front of that little green mark there, so that's where I want to start my rail tape. The most important thing I find personally when putting on rail tape is you do not wrap them around the rails too much, especially towards the back of the board, because that does affect, okay, you're splitting hairs here, but it does affect the water flow on the board, and I just don't think it looks very good. So try and keep the rail tape obviously in the most optimum place where your paddle is going to hit, and really it only has to be on the outer curve of the board. It doesn't really have to wrap right under, and it definitely doesn't have to wrap right under to the bottom of the board. That really doesn't look very good at all. I'm going to put a head cam on now so you guys can have a front rider's eye view of what's actually going on here. So we're going to start the tape just up here in front of this mark, and what I want to do is I want to follow the tape. Nice with these, if you can find an edge or a line, or what's quite good on these ones is most of these have got like a different rail shape, shine to the board top shine, so you can see there's a line there like that, and I'm going to follow that line equal distance right down the whole of the rail, and that way I know I have a rail that's nice and the rail tape's going to fit on the rail really nicely. Right, peel the rail tape off, and I'm going to get right underneath it and start it about there. Just going to check the other side. Yeah. Now what I do is I try not to, I only stick the top edge on. When I'm pulling it, so make sure it's dry, how dry it is, I'm actually pulling down like that to keep it really tight, and this is where I reckon it's better
than the sort of more flimsy sellotape sort of tape, because this stuff really holds its shape and you don't really get any air bubbles in it. Moving down. Move the board along. Now you might find that the rail tape for your board, if this is a 10/6, is too long. If it's too long, you know, cut it shorter. Get rid of it. You haven't got to use all of it, but with this board it's actually all right. Following that, keeping the light so I can see the line. Okay. Right, now I'm just going to come back. Rub it like hell. Working outwards. If you get any air bubbles, pick it up. As I said, this is where I find this tape so much easier to stick on than just normal tape, because it's so thick. It just holds its shape and it doesn't kink. Right, this bit's interesting now, because you see this is wrapping around the rail and that looks pretty rubbish if you ask me. So I'm going to get a Stanley blade or a surgeon's knife, and I'm just going to take that corner off and smarten that up. I'm just going to do that, put it flat against the board, using the board's shape, pulling it out. Look at that. Now I can really push it down, and you can actually just trim that off, give it a bit more round. So there you go, that is, I think, a perfect Ion Rail Love rail saver. As I said, because it's a bit thicker than sort of other rail tape or using sort of more basic tape, it doesn't kink, and it is really easy to actually, it sounds funny, but bend it around in an arc and it'll actually hold its form without kinking and putting loads of bubbles in your rail. So that is on, bulletproof, and it's also not wrapped around the rails. It's nice and far away, so it's not going to hindrance any of the surfing performance, and it looks really good. So let's move on to the nose rail protector now. So obviously, if you haven't got a mark where the centre line is on the board, like we have on the Nash one, with a great big black line coming down here, you're going to have to mark that, and easily get a pencil mark on there. The middle of the rail, sort of the nose saver, is easy because there's a mark on that, and that's in the centre. So we're going to line up that and get that around. Then I'm just going to stick around the outside main strip here, and then wrap the top and bottom on and see how we go. As I say, I haven't done it before, so I might be doing this totally wrong, but it feels like it's pretty easy. Okay, what I've decided to do is I've decided to unpeel the backing tape from the centre, and then as I stick that on, then I can unpeel it and go from there, and I'm not going to be in one sticky big mess. So let's stick this one on in the centre, and let's follow these. Just find a mark where you want the centre to be. In fact, you could just start with one side or the other, couldn't you? Let's just leave that. Let's just start with here. Pull that back. Just following the centre. Okay, so that's on like that. It's all stuck down. I'm just going to slowly wrap the top down. Oh, this stuff's incredible actually. Very easy to do. Some would say it's idiot proof, but we'll see, I'm not finished yet.
Right, just finish putting it on down on the bottom of the board. Now, two things I've noticed. One is if you have a thicker, wider nose board, this is going to work better. Because it has more of an angle to wrap around. It does wrap around that board and it does come right around, but obviously the easier it's going to be for the wider, thicker nose board because it hasn't got to wrap around so far. Two is if you've got a really matte bottom, like on this Nash here, and it's got a really shiny rail, it sticks really well to the shiny rails. Not so much to the matte bottom. If you found it wasn't sticking, this does appear to be sticking now, after a lot of pressure, you could just trim the nose rail, or it would be the same maybe you might have to do for the rail love as well. Rail lover is trim it back just so the material isn't touching the matte finish on the bottom of the board. As I said, it just sticks way better onto the really shiny stuff. But it's all stuck on there, went on very nicely around the front and onto the top, and it is offering that way larger impact resistance for the nose there. So there we go, two things you can put on your board to make it stay in tip-top shape. The rail saver, definitely the Ion rail lover, is very easy to put on. I have put our rail saver on before, but that by all means is the easiest one to put on, and I think it is because of the thickness that you can really bend it and manhandle it to get it in the right position on the board. Definitely cut it if it's too long, get a really sharp Stanley blade, you can get it in a perfect shape position on your board rails. The nose saver, first time I put one of those on before, it's definitely going to work way better if you have a wider, thicker nose. And to be honest, if you have a wider, thicker nose, it's probably something you're more likely to want to put on your board too. You can still cut that and reform that itself. Definitely doesn't stick on so well on the mattier finishes, but on the shiny rails, it really does stick well, and it's going to save your nose from getting a battering. Hope you found that video interesting and maybe a little bit informative. We'll see you next time on SUPboarder, SUPboarder Pro, or on YouTube. Thanks.